Hello, if you've joined me. It's lovely to have you here. I'm just inviting some people. I might see if I can invite others or share this in my group anyway, at least. If you want to invite people, please do. It's such a stunning day, isn't it? Now, you know I always have trouble with this bit, but I'm going to do it anyway. And see if I can just invite some people through my iPad. This time I've got my computer and my iPad. So hi Michael, lovely to see you. How are you? Please share if you think someone can benefit from this. I want to talk today. I'm talking today about trust, really. And I'm not talking about trust of other people. I'm talking about trust in yourself. And it's been a really interesting kind of thought processes that I've been going through that I just wanted to share with you, really. But I'm just going to share before I go into too much detail. I just want to see if I can get a few other people in. Let me show it to my holistic therapy. And I want to share with you some of the stuff that I've been working on, purely because I find it absolutely fascinating. So you will know that this is not working for me. It's not working for me. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. So I'm going to stop trying to do that, I think. Let me come out of that. I don't know what's going on. So how am I doing? I'm doing really well, actually, Michael. I'm doing really well, thank you very much. And I hope you're well, and I hope David's well. And yes, I will be able to see you all soon. It's going to be wonderful to see you soon. I can't wait to see my friends in person again. It's going to be wonderful. So hello, Timothy. Thank you for joining. Nice to see you here. So I'm going to be talking about trust, and I really do want to try and share to some more people. Because this subject itself is just fascinates me. It absolutely fascinates me, and because it fascinates me, I always want to share it. It's just the way I am. I want to share these things that that I'm learning about, and getting into more. Well, it's not. I can't do it anyway. Well, I'm going to forget about it. So hello. So yeah, I want to talk about trust and trust in yourself in particular. And some of the stuff that I've been researching on is some work by a guy called Dr. Bruce Lipton, and he deals with epigenetics. And epigenetics is all about your cells and biology. And it's really interesting because prior to this particular book of his that I'm reading about, he was very much into, he didn't have kind of like the more connection to universe side, if you like. He was very much into how the environment, and which is true, how your environment actually does dictate a lot of what goes on through your cells in you as a person. And what's fascinating about all of this is how we are programmed before we're even born. We are programmed before we're even born. And so I wanted to share some of the stuff that I've been doing around it, and just to give you my thoughts, really, because it's so fascinating, in so much as you've heard me speaking about the unconscious and the conscious and the superconscious brain parts. You've heard me speaking about all of that. And this is purely about, I'm going to be talking about the conscious mind, because did you actually know this, that the conscious mind, right, actually only works 5% of the time. And this conscious mind, this is where we have our personal wishes, our desires and our aspirations in our conscious mind, right? So that's the bit that is listening to me now. Some people call it the ego because it's the outer self, yeah? And when you get so engrossed, so it only works 5% of the time. And when you get so engrossed in your daily world and your daily life, Your conscious mind is actually not even working anymore, because you're just on automatic pilot. You're just going about your business. So your conscious mind gets taken up with, I've got to pay the bills, I've got to take the kids to school, I must go shopping, the car needs a service. You know, all of that stuff that you stick on your to-do list is where you focus your conscious mind. And what happens is your conscious mind then it's not operating, and what's playing out is everything in this unconscious, or your subconscious. Yeah, it's referred to as subconscious. I refer to it as unconscious, and it represents 90% of your neural activity. 90%. I mean, that is just phenomenal in itself. Wouldn't you agree? Seriously. So how much power that unconscious mind of yours actually has. But it's the part of you that's programmed on repetitive behaviours, repetitive words, sayings, habits, and that kind of stuff. And what it does is it dictates your perception of the world you live in and how you actually behave, how you see yourself, right? And the issue is with it is you don't even realise that all these things are playing out. You don't even realise parts of your personality, because we have different parts of our personality, will be playing out on this autopilot, because that's what it is, yeah? Because it's the conscious mind that is the part of your brain. The conscious mind is the part of your brain that runs only on 5%, where you get this creativity from, where you get your true desires from. And what Bruce Lipton was talking about, which fascinated me even more, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on all of this, right, because I do have some thoughts and opinions around it. And it's easy to, you know, once you can form your own opinions on it, and you can read the books yourself and get your own opinions. But it's what's absolutely fascinating for me is that what he talks about is how the environment, the study of epigenetics, is the environment controls your gene expression, right? And he talks about even in the womb, when you have, so you're in the womb, obviously blood goes through the placenta, and blood is made up of cells. And if the mother of that child is in a happy, loving relationship and she's full of love, the body releases chemicals of love, and those chemicals of love actually go into and through to the fetus, and then the baby itself is bathed, if you like, in the chemicals of love. Now, if the mother is maybe found herself in a situation where she is like a single parent, for instance, and the father and her are split, and she's constantly furious about this situation, what happens is the chemical reaction within the mother go through the placenta, and then they bathe the baby or the fetus in chemicals of anger. And this is already programming into the child before it's even born, right? And so this is just fascinating to me. I think it's absolutely fascinating. And see, what happens is the baby or the fetus responds to these chemical messages, right? And it acquires a memory of them. So therefore, this is where the programming comes in. And it's only until the baby's born and the baby doesn't have any consciousness in so much as a consciousness where we're aware of ourselves. What it has is this unconscious brain that's just sucking in every piece of information that it is being bombarded with on a constant basis. And once it is receiving the information on a repetitive basis, what happens is these then form the child's programming. They start to form the child's programming. And this carries on up until about the age of possibly 7. So what happens is around this child, the child is being bombarded with programming from the mother, the father, the brothers, the sisters, the aunties, the uncles, every conceivable aspect around them. And what they also do is they're programmed by observation as well. So if you constantly watch a particular program, or they're going to be programmed by that as well, right? And this is a fascinating thing about it. And it's only when you get to the age of around 7 that what happens is you start to get this awareness of yourself as an individual. And then you may, as you start to grow, you may start to question things. However, because the behaviours and the patterns are constantly carrying on around you, it's just reinforcing your programming. It reinforces the programming. So consequently, what happens is you end up living your life based on the programming and the conditioning of everybody else's thoughts and behaviours and patterns and perceptions of the world. You don't necessarily develop it from your own self, because your own self is only that 5% in the consciousness, you see, and the 90% is in your unconscious, which is in operation 90% of the time. Yeah. So it's really, really fascinating that when you sit and think about these things, and it's all pertinent for the work that I do, and I do like to go deep into stuff to really get that true understanding of it. And it's really, really pertinent because it brings you into, oh, hi Lorraine, it brings you into this section, doesn't it? What I want to talk about is true to yourself, is like trusting yourself. Because what this programming also does is it puts you into a different type of energy. Because of the conditioning, you're kind of like always seeking external validation. You're always looking outside of yourself for an answer, because that's the way you've been programmed, even from when you was in the womb. You've been programmed for this. And it's not anybody's fault. It's not a fault or anything like that. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with it per se, because it is what it is. It is what it is, right? But when you start relying totally on external, so I've got my notes here, on external validation, what it means is you get into this energy where you start to judge yourself against other people, and you judge other people. You start to compare yourself to other people because you want to be like that person, because you get this consciousness comes in, this self, this 5% of this consciousness comes in when you're not worried about your bills and all the rest of it. And that's why as we get older, because we have got all this life stuff that we have to do, we totally run on our unconscious brain. We totally practically run on that. We all go into autopilot on so much because our 5% of our consciousness is taken up so much by our daily stuff, paying the mortgage and all the rest of it, that we forget who we are. We totally forget who we are. And what that also means is we totally don't trust our own ability to be who we are. We don't trust it. We don't trust our own intuition. So, you get like, going back to this comparison and judgment and external validation. So, and you get all this programming on the TV, and I'm just going to use materialism just as an example, because people think that if they've got, the latest, designer outfit and, and it makes them feel good. They put it on, they feel good. Yeah, but they're doing it because they want external validation. Because the outside world says if you wear a particular garment, you fit into this box that says you're successful. But actually, there's a lot of people that are not successful but will try to portray that image because it makes them feel better, but it's a facade, right? When you ask for people's opinions, don't get me wrong, I think that getting opinions from people is a good thing to do, because it's in so much as you can bounce ideas off of each other. It's about bouncing ideas, isn't it? So you come up with an idea, you think, oh God, so let me go and talk to blah blah about that. But you've got to choose who you talk to. You have to choose who you talk to, because there will be people out there that will also be in this same bubble of judgment and comparison, that would also bring out other things where they could be programmed in their subconscious that they don't even realise is playing out in their behaviours, where they don't really want you to succeed anyway, you know, so they'll give you duff information. And if you think about that information and you think, and you take all that on board because that's where you're getting your guidance from, you're never going to succeed then, are you, at all? And the truth of the matter is, the real truth of the matter is, you know in your heart, you know in your intuition, you know in yourself when something is good and when something isn't. You know, because your body and your mind is connected. It's connected. And the epigenetics tells you we've been programmed. We've been programmed. So you will know when you are connected, when something sits with you or it don't sit with you. But the key to all of this is to open up that consciousness and start to get the awareness of all these patterns of behaviour that have been programmed into your unconscious brain that play out on a daily basis into behaviours. And once you start to do stuff like that, you can start to then get a true connection to who you really are. Because if you think back to when you was a child, and you may think, oh, Angela, you're talking nonsense, and that's fine. Do your own research. Go and research Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, all of those people that talk about epigenetics and biology. And please do come up with your own, you know, your own take on it, because this is just my take on it and of what I've read, what I've understood, how I'm applying it to be able to articulate it out to you guys, you know. But when you think about it, that programming, when we are younger, when you are in the 4-year-olds and the 5-year-olds, and you are so innocent, aren't you? You're so innocent. And that's the time of your life when you are connecting up, yeah, your imagination with reality. And you kind of entangle it. You kind of entangle it together. So, for instance, that's when people have imaginary friends and things like that, don't they? Very much in their early years, they do, because they see things, hear things, because they're just connected in a different way. It's the programming that actually takes you in the direction of where you want to go and where you want to, well, not even where you want to, where you are driven. It's not even where you want to, it's where you are driven. You are driven in a particular area because of your programming. And one key, and this is so true when you think about it. I grew up, there's 4 sisters, we've got 4 of us in my family, and I was always told that I was the brainy one of the bunch. I was always told that. And consequently, it drove me. It drove me to get my master's degree. But do you know what, right? Listen when I tell you this. It was bloody hard work, but I believed I was the brainy one, so consequently I went down that education route. And that's fine, that's a kind of like, in a way, that's a good program, yeah? When you are telling your children they can be and do whatever they want to be in the world, that's a good program, because it gives them that opportunity to bring that imagination and that creativity and their own desires and wishes from when they get into consciousness and their awareness of self, yeah? Because by the time they hit that, their awareness of self is going to be totally different if they believe their programming has been, you know, where they believe they can do whatever they want in the world. You know, they could be president. Look at Donald Trump, you know. They can be president, they can be an astronaut, they can be whatever. And then you feed that. So how many people Do you know who are really, really living their life from their true desire? Their true desire. The desire of who they really, truly are. It's very few. It's very, very few. Just talk about everyday life. It would be very few people that you come in contact with that are actually living their true desire, because they are living out their pre-programmed life. That's what they're doing. And as I said, you know when something's right or wrong. If you have to ask someone if your bum looks big in something, well then you know it bloody well looks big in that. You're not going to want to hear the answer, are you? But you know it looks big in that because you've had to go off and ask the question. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's about being true to who you are outside of your programming. It's about really tapping into that intuition of yourself and trusting yourself that you have the capability, the aptitude, the intelligence, the know-how, and the will to truly live a life that you want without having to have this external validation. Don't get me wrong, there'll be some things that come up for you where you think, well, I might have to go and train in that. It doesn't matter as long as it's coming from your truth and not because you've been programmed and then driven with this program to take you down a path. And you just do it. You chug along like a train, you just do it. You just don't even know you're doing it because you're programmed to do it. Is this resonating with anybody? Is anybody getting this, what I'm talking about? Hi, Elena, I'm just looking at the hi, Gerald. And that's the whole premise of it. And this is partly what and this is why I keep going on about it, because it's such a special thing. This is partly why I am doing. In fact, it's totally why I'm doing. It's totally why I now do what I do with the holistic therapies and the mindset and resilience program. Because it is so, so, so empowering when you get this stuff into your awareness so that you can start living a life that you truly want to live. How many times have you got on a tube and said to yourself, oh, I've got to go to work because this is what I need to do. I need to get on a tube to go to work, to be stuck in a carriage with smelly people, coronavirus, oh my God, can't do that anymore, don't want to be there. How many, and then you get to work and then you're doing stuff you don't really want to do it, but it's going to pay your bills because that your 5% of your conscious mind is saying it's going to pay my bills. I've got a mortgage next week, I've got to send the kids to the ballet or whatever. Yeah. How many of you are in that situation where really you're just existing in a pre-programmed, conditioned world that you really don't want to be in? Oh, I'm glad you got it. Thank you for replying to me, Lorraine. I appreciate that. There's always a delay, isn't there? There's always a delay with me asking a question and the comments coming up. But it's so true. So the title of this live is about trust. And how much do you trust yourself and your abilities, your aptitude, your intelligence, your know-how, your capability, to actually find out what it is you need to be doing to get the life that you want and to live in your true desires. Unless you just want to spend the rest of your life living an existence because of your programming, I mean, that's entirely your choice too. We all have a choice. We all have a choice. But I just wanted to share that with you because epigenetics is the most fascinating subject for me, because it taps into energy, and I work with energy, and meditation is partly energy, all of that stuff. And if you'd like to know more about my mindset and resilience program, please do contact me, and you can have a free coaching call with me. We can see if we can work together. I'll send you a link. It's not a problem for me, because I really do want to help people come out of this programmed world where we are a little bit like robots, because we're conditioned just to go down a path rather than actually sit there and go, well, what about what I want? What about what I truly want, my heart's desire? And how fantastic would it be the more people that can actually tap into that, tap into trust, totally trusting who they are as an individual, totally trusting that they can do whatever they want, and totally being in tune with that, in that mind body, and living a different type of experience while we're here on earth. How wonderful is that? Because you don't need outside validation, you just need to get back inside of you, because it's all there and you can get exactly what you want. Anyway, I got quite animated there. So look, I hope you've enjoyed that, and as I said, get in contact with me. I love to talk to you, and this work is my passion. It really is my passion, and I'm doing what I want to do. I'm going to live my life through my true desires, because it's the only way to live, guys. It's the only way you get satisfaction, true satisfaction, and it's the only time you will ever really be able to trust in yourself. So on that note, take care, and I'll put a link in the comments for you if you want to if you want to get involved. All right, take care. Bye now. Bye.